Do you struggle on who to start and sit each week for fantasy football? I get it. It's tough. But you know what? Follow me through the grind, and I will get you guys ready and prepared. Let's go. Week number 7, Thursday Night Football, baby. Cover One crew, what is going on? Hope everybody's doing great out there as per usual. I am good. We got Thursday Night Football. You gotta love it. And this week it is Chris Olave versus DeAndre Hopkins. Boomer bust. Who we trusted more, and I got to break these two individuals down just a little bit more along with the rest of the clubs to get you guys ready for who to start this week for week number 7. It's going to be hopefully a decent showing, a decent contest, so let's get to it. So right out the gates, we got Chris Olave, my guy. CO2 was the nickname I gave this man, but he changed his number to number 12, so clearly the nickname doesn't make sense anymore. But Chris Olave coming back from the concussion a week ago. He missed the last contest, now coming back, and with a depleted roster on this New Orleans Saints team right now. So far this season, 5 games, 42 receptions, 389 yards, 2 touchdowns. The catch rate is a little bit lower, 59.5% catch rate. We want to see that increased, going up to around the 70 percentile marks. That would help us out a lot, but Chris Olave is a stud, no question. I loved every part of his game going in OSU, coming to the New Orleans Saints in the NFL. I coined this man on my scouting reports going back to last offseason that he was going to be the safest rookie wide receiver in this entire draft class in terms of fantasy production, in terms of statistical achievement, and so far he's doing all the good stuff. When we talk about the Saints offense so far this year, 230.8 pass yards per game, 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That has been a mix between Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton. When you break down all the next-gen stats, you got to like what you see, because this has got a lot to do with how you kind of predict your fantasy productivity, man. Completed air yards is a big one when you talk about quarterbacks and wide receivers. 8.8 yards, air yards on average. That gives Jameis Winston the number 1 ranking in the NFL on next-gen stats. We'll see if he's going to start in this contest, where Andy Dalton isn't too far behind, 6.7 completed air yards, giving him the 11th ranked quarterback ratio right now in the NFL on completed air yards. Chris Olave, his share of team air yards right now is so high in the NFL. It's 36.25 out of a share load, not being the number 1 wide receiver on any offense. He is absolutely exploding in air yards. You gotta love it. They're always looking for the big shot to him, and I think once they morph his game into something a little bit, closer, mid-range, 15 yards and then some, we will see that number increase as well, because he will start to go deep and make a lot of big plays as well. So far on the season, 63.4 points for Chris Olave. You can't hate it. When we talk about the other alpha dog on the other side of the field, he is coming back from suspension. That is Mr. DeAndre Hopkins. You gotta love it. First game back in 6 after the PED suspension. We don't have any statistical stats, obviously, on this man for this season, so we gotta go to last year to see what he did. He was playing hurt a lot, missed a lot of contests, only played in 10 games, 42 receptions for almost 600 yards, did score 8 touchdowns, but his catch rate was probably one of the lowest we had seen throughout his career, 57.2% last year. But again, the injuries derailed the entire season, hence why he probably took some PEDs trying to get a little bit healthy, man. And the P got tested, and I mean, he was out obviously subsequently for the first 6 games of the season. The Cardinals' pass game so far this year, Kyler Murray's just been struggling. This offense in general has been struggling. Cliff Kingsbury hasn't indicated, himself that he could likely give away play calling duties, which is very strange because that's his MO. He loves calling plays. That's what his bread and butter is. But clearly he's just not getting it done. We could see a 3.9% for completed air yards for Kyler Murray this year. That ranks 36th, second last in the NFL in quarterbacks and next-gen stats. You got to hate what is going on in this pass game for the Arizona Cardinals. 226.7 pass yards per game, 6 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. It is not a good look. They need an offensive injection of power like nobody's business, and DeAndre Hopkins should be able to bring bring that elixir to make them that much better offensively right away. They also traded for Robbie Anderson. This will help the cause, hopefully, especially with Hollywood Brown. He is now gone likely for at least a month, if not 8 weeks, due to that foot injury. Last year, we got only last year's statistics, like I said, on DeAndre. His share of completed air yards was 19.15 with the cast of crew that they did have in Arizona last year. I do believe they will try to force feed DeAndre Hopkins right out the gates to try to make this offense move a little bit better. We shall see how it goes. 126 points in fantasy point production last season for DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's going to come out the gates flying versus Chris Olave. Who's the better start as of today? I got to say the safer floor has to be Chris Olave, but the upside could go to DeAndre Hopkins based on target share and the potential force feeding we could see. So you definitely are firing up both these individuals. But let's talk about these teams and the New Orleans Saints. This is the problem right now. We got Jameis Winston. He was a limited participant in practice the entire week, so they're saying he could start if they wanted to, but they're likely going to hedge their bets and say Andy Dalton is going to be the starter this week. So I got both on the list right now. We won't know until game time. Jameis is the high risk right now only because we don't know if he's going to play. If he does play, that goes to a mid-level risk, in my opinion. Andy Dalton, if he starts, gets the mid-level risk because he's been doing enough to at least support this offense and keep this offense humming, man. Alvin Kamara, low risk. I was going to give him the stud start. I likely can give him the stud start. He should have a very good day. You're looking at potentially a 15 to 20 point day for Alvin Kamara as he's starting to pick up steam once again. He is going to be a stud start, top 6 potential this week, finishing, especially on Thursday Night Football, started off early. They want to get this ground game going with the New Orleans Saints. Mark Ingram, high-risk play. Don't like it at all. He has not looked good. His retirement papers are already drawn out, and he's got to sign them very quickly because the writing's on the wall. You're done, Mark. I'm sorry. It's over. Chris Olave, like I said, low risk. You got to start this man up coming off the concussion. He's going to do wonders this week. No matter who the quarterback is, it'll only get better, like I said, with the air yard potential with a Jameis Winston. But Andy Dalton knows how to force feed wide receivers, even with the lack of wide receiver talent that they do have. No Michael Thomas, no Jarvis Landry in this game. So guys like Traquan Smith, good upside once again. He's been good enough for you to plug and play as a flex play. Obviously, we don't put anybody in the flex on Thursday Night Football, but he is a good play this week again. Even with Chris Olave back, this just will maximize coverage to Chris Olave's side and leave Traquan Smith wide open, who Andy Dalton has been finding on the regular in these past 2 contests. You got to like the upside for a Traquan. You can start him. Callaway's a high-risk play. I thought maybe it was going to be between him and Traquan, but Traquan has taken the step forward and looking good. Mid-level risk play for a Taysom Hill this week. It's a tough one. How do you dissect what Taysom is going to do every single week? Because it's determined on his running upside, not the pass-catching upside. Yes, he's listed as a tight end, but he's still taking carries from the backfield as a quarterback, and that's where he's getting his point productivity this year again. So mid-level risk. If the tight end position's so bad this year when it comes to total top-end point productivity, minus a Kelsey and Andrews, you're going for sheer upside every single week with a Taysom Hill. So if you're starting him this week, I don't hate it because the Arizona Cardinals defense isn't that great versus the run, man. Those Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray and company, they got to fix something very, very fast. Otherwise, this season is going to go into the dump fire, and it already has, looking that way. Is there video games being dropped tonight or last night on Wednesday? Don't start Kyler if that's the case, because I'm just kidding. But he loves his video games, hence why everyone was saying he needs more practice time and more film time, hence why it was in his contract. But we digress. 117.8 points. He's been doing very well in the point productivity game, except last week he kind of stumbled. This is a get-right game for this Arizona Cardinals, especially with DeAndre Hopkins back in the fold, in the mix, gives them a true alpha wide receiver. Yes, it sucks that Hollywood Brown is now out for 4 to 8 weeks, because that could have been a great tandem between the two of them. Like I said, they did trade for Robbie Anderson from the Carolina Panthers. Will he play much in this contest? Highly unlikely. He gets a high risk for me. James Conner, he is on the questionable tag. I'm putting an injury risk on him, but if he's starting, you're you're starting them. That's simple as that. They got to win this game, and they're going to put all their soldiers on the field, so to speak, and James Conner should have a very decent day productivity-wise against the New Orleans Saints run game, who also does have a lot of starters out on the defensive side as well. Benjamin does get a mid-level risk because even if they do play James Conner, he will likely get some sprinkles here and there in the offense. But if Conner does play, I really hesitate to start an Benjamin. That's no kidding, man. Rondale Moore was the big one on the waiver wire this week. Everybody was rushing to grab. I was not. I'm still not convinced. I understand you're going at stats of snap counts of like 91, 99%. I don't care because they're not using him. I don't care if the guy's on the field for 100% of the snaps, and if you're not throwing targets his way, what good is he for your fantasy team? We got to see proof in the pudding before we can trust a Rondale Moore, and right now I will not trust it. Very much a low floor, only 19 points in this offense. Cliff Kingsbury still does not know how to get the man the ball. Like I said with Kyler Murray, what was it, 3.6 on the, or 3.9 on the average air yards. So even when they're trying to go short, it still isn't working. You got to get more creative and find ways to get Rondale the ball before I can trust him and put my staple of approval on this man. Greg Dortch is a mid-level risk now without a Hollywood Brown, and with Robbie Anderson likely not going to play as much, be on a snap count because he just doesn't know the playbook enough. Dortch is probably your safer start outside of a DeAndre Hopkins. He should get a lot of PPR work once again. Mid-level risk for me. Unless Rondale hits, then great, he can hit on my bench. I would rather prefer the trusted commodities of a Greg Dortch, who almost has 40 points so far this year. Zach Ertz is again that low-risk play. You're starting him every week. 61.4 outside of Kelsey and Andrews. Zach Ertz has been extremely reliable this year, and once again, you can trust him. Now with DeAndre Hopkins back, we're going to say, who's going to have the better day? Is it Olave or is it Hopkins? I'm going to bank the money that Olave is going to have the better day with potential TD upside to DeAndre Hopkins, which could inflate his statistics. As for the game score and the predictions, Arizona is favored by 2 points at home in this contest, and I understand why. All the injuries the New Orleans Saints do possess on both sides of the ball. We don't know who's going to be starting quarterback, whether it's Jameis, whether it's Andy, but they still were able to move the ball versus weaker defenses, and Arizona does have some issues in that department. With Chris Olave back, he should have a monster day, and I'm so looking forward to it. I'm so ready for it. Hope you guys are as well. For the final score, I'm taking the Cardinals 27-24 against New Orleans Saints as they travel to the desert, and I mean, it's going to be a close game. I really, truly believe this is the last one for Arizona. If they don't fix out their inadequacy in this contest, this season likely is going to be a wash, but with DeAndre Hopkins back on the field, you got to think and believe that they're going to be able to at least spread the ball down the field and get DeAndre to do his alpha stuff in the end zone and at least put some more points on the board, get Kyler Murray running a little bit more again, but still 27-24, I think Arizona gets right in a big way this week. You got to love it. So there you have it. That is Thursday Night Football. A little bit of a twist with Chris Olave going up against DeAndre Hopkins. Who could be the better talent this week for your fantasy teams? It's going to be very close. My bank, again, is on Chris Olave. I think he has the better day overall, but I mean, it is a tough situation with DeAndre Hopkins coming back in his first game. Will he be, game shape ready, or is it going to take him a couple quarters to get, fit and ready to go? So we'll see. Should be a very good game. One of the better Thursday night games we've seen in quite some time, but nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments. If you got some start-sit questions, throw them in there. I'll help you guys out, man. But nevertheless, we'll see you next time. I am out.